Are you in your son's bedroom?
You would make this the intro. Come on. Yeah, I am.
Do you play bedroom basketball with him in your bedroom?
Occasionally, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really good at basketball. I'm horrible at these hoops. Can't do it. I was going to grab a ball and that was going to be the intro. I was just going to toss it and like
Try and over the
hopefully
head?
sink it. Yeah.
That'd have been
but
cool.
I don't want to do that.
That'd be cool. You're a good dad. You're a good dad, Broedy. Kicking your son out of this room so you can record a podcast. What's he gonna do?
It's quiet in here. It's quiet.
All right. We're riffing on success. So, what are those credits? From Sydney, Australia, all the way to Portland, USA, two misfits hang out after class to riff on the B-sides of professional life. These are your professional misfits. All the way from Sydney, Australia, I am your host, Christopher Sellers.
I'm from Portland, Oregon, in a squeaky-ass chair. I'm Broedy Ipox.
And we are your professional misfits, where we riff on the B-sides of professional life. What up, Misfits? Episode 67, we're talking about success. What is it? How to define it? What does it mean to you? Is everyone's definition the same? All that sort of stuff. It's what we're all chasing. We all want that brass ring, right? So we're going to get into that. Because everyone defines success differently. So I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation. But before we jump in, Broedy, we talked about boundaries last week. Did you learn how to set healthy boundaries? Did you learn anything?
It's very weird. I actually had a pretty transformative week.
Oh, really?
I did. Yeah, I did. Not just in the context of relationships and boundaries and things like that. Just with myself, just the visualization of what we spoke about, some of the things that we talked about. And just so the Misfits know, by the time that episode has come out, I've listened to it twice.
Right. Yeah.
So I have a pretty good feel on the episode. And, yeah, there's just a couple spots that, I think get you in terms of I wasn't thinking about it out loud, I might have been wrestling with it internally in a quiet space, but not out loud. And, even in the gym, I saw changes where I know there's a limit that I get to that I'm like, this is uncomfortable, and I stop. And, I was like, you know what? You've constantly set this goal to do more, to build more, blah, 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 all this stuff. The boundary is you're not going to give on that, So when you hit that uncomfortable spot in the gym or, even at home or so for instance, too, at home, one of my boundaries now is like, if I remotely feel agitated to where the volume's getting stern, I'm taking a breath. Okay. I'm walking away from you. I'll look at somebody. I'll look at one of these guys and be like, "Hey, I'm done right now. I'm done." Yeah. So it really actually was. It was. How about you?
Maybe we can get into that because I thought I thought I had boundaries and then I seemed to step over them just to see what would happen. And it's. Anyway,
touch the electric fence.
Yeah. Like, will it really? Will he sting? Kinda. You were right, Charms. You were right. But anyway, we're talking about success. We're talking about success today. And before we jump into it, quick shout out to our sponsor, Nick at IGU. And IGU is an old game with a new twist where modern innovation and nostalgia come together to bring you tag for today. Get it on Google Play. Get it at the Apple Store. Download it and play tag with your friends. How's it going, by the way?
Thank you to you guys. We're actually over at 30,000 downloads now. I think our online ventures have, seen 28 million of you guys. So they're
all misfits, obviously. Like, we're just driving all of this traffic to IGU.
Yeah, so it's going great. It's going great.
Misfit ROI is insane. Excellent. All right. So success, misfits. It's a sexy term. Everybody throws it around. Everybody has different definitions of it. Broedy, let's start with you. Are you a success?
It depends on who you ask.
Well, I'm asking.
Hmm. It's weird. I'm really detached from that. I don't like it. I don't. I think we're gonna go deep real quick.
I know it's one of those things you can't get around
God,
it. We can,
okay, all right. I think it stems from my dad being such a success, per se, and not that he's not. I'm not saying that. That sounded a hint passive aggressive. Steve Barnes, I love you to death. No, what I'm saying is he climbed that structure almost to a T. You know, is go to college, and he was an All-American in all his sports and all the stuff, and then got into a career, and then he got into a management position, and then ownership position, and blah blah blah, all this stuff. And just watching him tick each box, you know, kind of thing for me, where it was like, and we've spoken about this in a couple past episodes, where you know there was I think for me, outside in, and not necessarily knowing, I never asked when I was a kid, but I think there's plenty of times he would have rather been home. I think there's plenty of times that he would have rather had the mental space to focus on us and be around and avoid some of the pitfalls within the family life that I think came from his success. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I would say that I have successes. Like there's a lot of things in my life that, you know, have been a success, and I will always look back at those and give them credit, and, you know, sometimes even pat myself on the back when it's due. But am I successful? Like I fucking hate it, to be honest with you. So that's where I'm going to leave that right off the rip. Sorry, Misfits.
No, it's a good place to start. It's a good place to start.
All right, now you. Are you successful?
No.
Oh God, dude! Come on, we're into it, folks.
I know. You know, it's
shit.
I mean, yeah. Look, it's at first. I think a more accurate qualifier is: am I as successful as I believe I should be, or could be, or would be? And my reflex is always no. There's always more to do. There's always more I could be doing. There's always more that can be created or achieved or designed or solved.
But don't you feel like from most people that are in like a realm of high achiever kind of title would say the same? You know,
yeah,
like
maybe. But and this goes back to one of our earlier conversations on happy people successful? You know,
right, yeah.
You know, and because if you were content, and if you really valued the little things, then you'd never really achieve much. Look, and so am I a success? I don't know. If you break it down in terms of qualifiers, like I don't have stable employment, so there's that. It's always a contract. It's always a hustle. It's always an own project, and random sort of clients. So there's that sort of thing. You're always trying to build something. So there's always 2 or 3 things on the go, like currently. You know, and some of the Misfits know, running up to like book launch number 2. And so it's books done, working out publishers, getting the marketing and all of that engine just in line for a book release in March. Misfits, check it out. But, you know, that's book 2. And like I might have mentioned last time, like, yeah, what about book number 1, bro? And you said to me, like, most people don't even write a book in their life, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but you sort
of course you did.
Sort of shrug these things off. So like professionally, it always seems like there's a bigger mountain. Personally, don't know. Don't have a significant partner, so there's that. Have a few close friends. That's okay. Family, I mean, yeah, don't have any kids. My brother's in another state, so that's great. My parents are 2 hours away, so that's great too. I don't know. It's funny because the question of this episode, and for all of you Misfits for the rest of our lives, is not like, are you a success, but like, how do you define it for you, and what does it mean to you. So when Broedy said we're going to get pretty deep pretty quick, that's pretty much where we're heading. There's no way around it. Your description of comparing yourself to parents or peers is common and standard for all of us. Like even me. And I had to give up very early that like I don't think I'm going to be a 9-to-5 kid. I don't even think I'm going to be a university kid. So what's it going to be for me? You know what I mean? What's going to be a success for me? And in a lot of respects, I'm still trying to figure that out. So I guess a good place to start is can you and I and Misfits at home, can we define elements of success for ourselves? You know, that are specific for us, that aren't just, oh, my folks did this, therefore, if I do this, I succeed too. You know, because that model
right.
doesn't always, you know, even in terms of relationships, right?
My I would have gotten eaten alive if I stuck to my dad's model. I'm a fucking failure if that's
right. Well, we'll talk about that next week.
No, damn, dude. Let's not.
Yeah. But okay, so how do we define spheres or markers of success for ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, for me, if we're just putting it real simply, putting it into little neat boxes, I'd say it has to do with health, family, and profession. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so if you got those things in order, right? And what I mean by order, you know, financially stable, families taken care of, you can have a family, right? Like that kind of thing. Your career, you know what you want. I don't even give a fuck what that looks like. You just know what you want and you have a plan and it's being followed, right? You're executing. It's not just up here anymore. And health, you're paying attention to things that shit, you know, I just had this conversation with somebody in the sauna, and I'm about to start taking a microphone in the sauna and just doing sessions, like call them sweat sessions or something.
I was gonna say Brody's sauna sessions. It'll be
it just the random people. Yeah.
You'll attract a certain demographic, and once they get there, they'll be like, "What? It's not."
Right. Okay, he's talking to some old dude for fucking 20 minutes. This is stupid weird.
There's a niche.
But yeah, no, I was just talking to somebody in the sauna about this the other day, and it was really nice. It was validating, and I'm not speaking about it to validate myself, but it was an older gentleman, and he said that this is his first couple years in the gym. It's been, you know, maybe 2 years for him, and he just started, and you know, he's just feeling like he's getting consistent and taking a class, and now he's doing the sauna and he's paying attention to the water that he drinks and all this stuff. And he's like, you know, I never thought about this when I was your age. And, you know, to see people your age taking that charge that young, you know, means something to me. It means that, you know, the generations coming in are doing what they need to. And, you know, maybe somewhere along the way, even if we stumbled, you guys picked up the right information. And I was like, I love that. I love that take. Even if we stumbled, somebody got the right information, you know, like, and again, that's kind of that's like in my head, that's a success, right? If you got to stumble a little bit to get to the point that you understand what you're doing, that's still, again, a success. So to me, super simple: body, family, profession. And if you got those things on lock, I look at the things that you're doing as successes. And I guess if I've got to label you as such, you are a successful person in my eyes. Now, I want to qualify that too. That has nothing to do with what you make monetarily. I don't think in my mind whatsoever that has anything to do with it. Because if I'm being real honest, at the end of the day, ultimately I would rather see people be better human beings than be fucking high earners. Like, I could give a fucking rat's ass what you make. I really ultimately don't care. And to be honest with you, most of us, once we're high earners, probably aren't going to do the things that we could or should do with that amount of money anyways. So like, I just take a piss, you know, like where you're at now is enough kind of thing is, I guess, what I'm getting at. Yeah. So, you know, same question to you. How would you classify it? You know, do you have neat, tidy little boxes, or is it a little more fluid?
Yeah, it's annoying because it is a bit more fluid. I had the thought leading up to this that it's funny, like because our personal versions or our personal reflections of success are normally something that we see mirrored in somebody else. You know what I mean? Like if someone now has this role or is earning this much or has this relationship or, you know, has that car, or like it might be material things, but no, it's that keeping up with the Joneses thing. It's what like Insta and social trades on. Like I have this and I'm living this life, and that is held up as a success. And so by default, if we don't feel we have that, we feel as a failure. You know what I mean? And that was something that I thought would be really, really valuable to unstitch, because it's two things are two things are kind of flying through my head at the same time. My favorite quote on success has always been the one by Bob Dylan, which is, "A man is a success if he wakes up in the morning, he goes to bed at night, and in between does whatever he wants to do." You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah, that's very cool.
It's a baller quote. It's very much an artist's quote, but it's to the heart of it. It gets to, you know, autonomy, independence, and freedom. You know, just and that sort of sense of responsibility. Like my life is my own, and what I do in between, you know, sun up, sundown is on me. You know, and I've already really liked that. At the same time, here's a fun story that I've just gone through in the last few days, Misfits. Broedy, I don't think you've even heard this. So New Year's was a funny time because I ended up getting contacted by an ex of mine that I haven't seen in person in over a decade. Like it's been 10 years since we've seen each other in person. And she randomly reached out to me because she's in a different state, but she was going to be in Sydney for a wedding, believe it or not. And I'll spare you like all the gory details because like she has a partner and whatever else, and she's going to try and sneak out and come see me and like rah rah rah. But how this gets to success, how this gets to success and insecurity is like I knew this girl when she was like very early 20s, and we were dating, and it wasn't a healthy relationship. And she'd sort of come from a broken situation, and I was trying to be a white knight and that whole thing back then. And obviously it didn't work out. So fast forward 10 years, and she's telling me how, oh, she's got like this job and she's doing quite well, and she finished her degree, and they've got a mortgage on a place that they've got now, and they're looking at a second place, and they've got the Tesla, and they've got X, Y, and Z. And materially, baby's got her shit together. It seemed, from what she was sort of telling me, you know what I mean? So tick, you know, boyfriend, tick, they've been together 7 years, you know, house, tick, looking for a second, job, tick, cars, tick, families, everyone else is on board, like all that sort of stuff, couple of pets, tick, you know, all those boxes. And even though like I'm a little bit older than her, and I remember how she was back then, as much as I was sort of proud and impressed that she'd sort of got a life together and everything else, because she's had a bit of a wild ride, at the same time, I was like, fuck. And I'm still basically like a struggling artist hustling to publish a second book. Straight up. Like I won't deny that I was jealous. I won't deny that I was envious. I even told her, like, I'm a little bit jealous, you know. And
you compare yourself to a person that's done this with another human being.
I know. I know. Like logic, but this is the thing. Like logic, we can sit here and wax lyrical about like, oh, success is what you make it. But now I'm giving you like a real.
I'm not even doing that. I'm not even saying that. I mean, logically,
but
bro.
This is what I mean. Like a real case scenario, and it probably was a little bit more raw because this is someone that I dated for about 2 years, and you know we knew each other way back when, and all that, and so now, like a movie, 10 years later, life is this. I'll give you the rest of the story later, but this is, and all of a sudden, nothing I had done felt worthy or relevant in the face of this girl who was younger than me, who had
Interesting.
seemingly
Nothing. Not writing a book,
not book one, not book two, not nothing.
And just for context, and I mean, we're fleshing something out on you personally right now, but like, was she? So this was obviously far after the Kung Fu studio and stuff too, correct?
Oh yeah.
But she had known about those.
Yeah,
those things.
We dated after that. Yeah.
Okay, and in the acting school, she knew about that kind of stuff. And again, why since then has nothing been? I mean, bro, you wrote a fucking book. Like, you wrote a book. I mean, and maybe we haven't talked about this. This might be a fresh question. Do you ever take the street art for achievement? Because I'm not shitting you. Some of the prints and photos that you've done, I look at and I'm like, God damn, that has. Same thing like we were talking about stumbling. Maybe not stumbling. I'm not saying your art is shit, but just. No. To have you have to you have to have taken some time to get to that point, right? You know what I mean? Like you have to have culminated some fucking shit, you know, like. And right, so I don't know, do you?
No, but I don't.
Interesting.
But it's funny. Okay. It's funny that you mention it. And again, for some context for Misfits who don't know, I have a bit of a side passion of black and white street photography. And on LinkedIn every Sunday, I'll post some images that I've been taking. And I've been taking photos for almost 10, 15 years, but like across Paris, across London, across obviously Sydney and Melbourne and places like this. And I have a decent body of work, so much so that I was almost going to publish a coffee table book of prints.
Sure.
Which I might still do, but it's really funny that you just sort of randomly plucked this out, because a woman on LinkedIn who's seen these posts every Sunday literally sent me a message on LinkedIn last night saying, "Hey, you know, I've got a gallery in New York. Would you consider exhibiting your art here?"
Get out! How cool! Bro,
yeah,
do it.
Hey, like shout out to Sanal at like Table Art and Gallery, I think is the name.
Do it.
And I went, yeah. I said, yeah, sure. You know, like, what do we need to do? So she sent me the submission form, and we're going to have a chat tomorrow. But I like, again, I didn't even mention that to you, and I just sort of shrugged, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And so,
no, and that's an achievement. I mean, to like again, not that I've ever like professionally pursued photography, but I as well, we've talked about this, I've done quite a bit just because of the stuff that I've done product wise, and like I know a camera, you know, I know a camera, and I know how to make money, and I know how to market things, so I'm like, god damn, you know, maybe this is the route we go. There's not been once that, you know, a body of my work has been, you know, like, hey, can we absorb this? Hey, can we use this?
Some third party reached out and went, oh, hey,
right,
love your stuff. Can we? Yeah.
But you know, my social media videos, my content creation, that stuff, that has happened, and that is wildly fucking validating. And I'm just telling you, that's pretty rare, if I'm being honest with you. Like, as someone that has done the reaching out as well, you know what I mean? I've been the guy behind the products before, you know, like, and not me being a dick, but there's very few of you that I would reach out to. You know what I mean? Like, it just it's rare, you know, so that's why I asked too, you know, because I look at your photography as a success in my mind, where it's like, you know, to have such a solid, and I mean, bro, go look at some of your posts. Some of those posts have the highest amount of engagement, and you know, that's not
kind of
for.
Pisses me off, though.
I know, but that's because they're good, though. It's because they're good, dude. It's that simple.
Look. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. It's a nice thing, but to not make it all about me. It's. But this, I guess, is the thing. Like, it's kind of a nice thing. But is it a success? Like, do I feel successful because of it? No. You know, and if the real answer is, I don't know what would. You know, depending on what book one does, depending on what book two does, which I have much higher hopes for as a commercial prospect. If everyone being an amateur psychologist said, well, what does success look and feel like to you? I don't I've got some fairly rudimentary answers. You know, it'd be like a nice relationship, a stable home that is my own, and independently, financially viable, and healthy. You know, and that's a constant
so I mean,
thing.
same three principles. Same three principles.
Kind of. But then
Close.
I know that once I'm there, like it'll be what's the next thing.
But that's what I was asking you. So, and well, that's what I was asking you. And that's kind of what I meant, you know, and like, I don't know how we necessarily take it to that space, because in my mind, it's like, that's what I meant by, am I successful? Right. Like, cause I don't ever.
I think the way that you framed it of like, I've had successes is much more realistic. I think it's much more manageable. I think it's much more healthy, because like your life, the sum total of your life isn't like held up as, you know, all spheres of the Venn diagram must be at optimal fucking levels, because that never happens. But if you can point to things and go, this was a success and this was done well and I'm proud of it, I think that's much more constructive for all of us. So there you go, Misfits.
Shit, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, look, for me, it's just taking inventory. I mean, there's so many times and points in my life that, and you kind of said it well a little bit ago, where I don't acknowledge some of my own successes, you know, and like, I'm just on to the next thing and on to the next. And that's kind of what the vein that I'm tapping into here is like, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, though, because I think there's a lot of people out there, though, that reach a point, right? And they hit that spot, and it might be nice for, you know, 5-10 years, you know, but it's the same thing as the corporate bro that wakes up and goes, holy fuck, dude, I've just spent the last 15 years in this office. This is fucked. This is not actually what I wanted to do. Holy fuck, am I out of time?
Right. So great segue. Misfits, if you listen to the end of last episode 66, I mentioned that the original title for this video was The Iceberg of Success. And what I was actually driving at is like how we see the tip. We see all the things above, all the material things above water. We see the highlight reel on social media. Yeah. That's what we see. You know, you don't see the cost. You don't see the effort, you don't see the sacrifice, and you don't see like a lot of the dysfunctional shit that goes on underneath either.
The fucking learning curves alone. I mean,
well, here's and so here's where I sort of segue back to this story about the ex that I was telling you about, right? So after we'd been chatting for about a week or two, and I'd sort of got over my whiplash of like the girl that I knew was now very, very different, and that's cool and whatever. But then along, you know, I also get the rest of the pieces of the puzzle where like the guy that she's been with for 7 years is horrifically controlling, like tracks a phone. We have one joint account. Your money goes into this account. I will manage all of the money. Knows all of the friends. Where are you going? When are you coming back? Like just utterly controlling.
It's so hilarious though too, because the current narrative right now is like, that is like a reasonable masculine demand, and it's like, dude, get fucked. It's just super fucking insecure is what it is.
Yeah, that's the way that it strikes me too. But again, there's two sides to this coin. One, he does it. Two, she allows him to do it. You know, and it's only now that and it's only now that she's sort of complaining to me. She's like, yeah, in the beginning it was kind of hot, but now it's a real inconvenience. I'm like, well, you can change it. Like, you're a grown woman in your 30s. And she's like, oh. Right.
There's such a fucking heavy difference, women, between a hand on a throat and being fucking told what you can spend your money on. Like,
yeah. Or where you can go or who you can see and why. So there's all of that. They're talking, it's funny because they're talking about marriage. And I was like, look, do you really want to marry this guy? Like, kind of where things are at? And she's like, it's easy. So she's willing to take that hit. She's with hang on, let me finish. She's with a guy that the guy's controlling. That's whatever it is. But she's definitely with a guy that she neither loves nor respects or is faithful to. She does a job that she seems to kind of like. She's a hardcore alcoholic. It's like half bottle of gin every night. So there's all of these
You gotta
And it's funny
chill.
because
Your liver probably hurts, bro.
well, here's the thing. I actually caught up with her. I actually caught up with her when she was in town.
That was
for,
my
like,
next question. I was gonna say,
okay.
did you make the connection?
We did. Okay, so we made the connection. She had to make an excuse and sneak out. And then we met over Manly side. For those who know, it's north of the bridge, and you never know north of the bridge. So I had to catch a ferry. Broedy is outrageous. So I had to catch a ferry over to Manly. We took a walk around Manly and everything else. And it was funny because the minute I saw her, after 10 years of not, the minute I saw her, I had no envy of her life whatsoever. She did not look well. And you can...
Okay.
Yeah.
Pause. What do you mean by that? Now, because there's so many ways people could take that. Physically, you can read someone a little bit. Emotionally, you know what I mean? First glance, you're like, oh, fuck, this motherfucker doesn't look happy at all. Kind of thing. So what do you mean by that?
Well, it was all of it, really. Like, physically, she didn't look her best. She was a lot bigger than what she was when I knew her, and she knew that as well. So her health wasn't the greatest. Very pale, very sketchy. The whole time that we're taking a walk around the boulevard, she's checking her phone every 3 minutes because the boy's tracking her location. Just the whole thing. It was just, I could have spent 5 minutes with her, said, "It's been nice to see you," and gone home. But that was the thing. It was, so in terms of this success iceberg and what I was talking about before, like, even though what she'd told me of her life painted a certain picture for me, and there's, I get insecure about where I'm at or what I want or what I'm doing or what I've achieved. It seems like she's much more of a success in one particular aspect. Then I meet her and get the full context of her life, and I have no envy of her whatsoever. And I could catching the ferry on the way back. I'm like, I am not stuck in any like dead, deceitful relationship. My health is okay. I'm looking all right. I've got projects and plans and passions of things that I'm working on. And she really doesn't. It's 9 to 5. It's 9 to 5 and then drink a bottle of gin. And then
Amen.
9 to 5 and drink a bottle of gin.
I don't want to interrupt you because I know you're in a sweet spot here, but this is kind of exactly one of the focal points that I wanted to happen in the episode, because again, a lot of people get trapped into that same kind of, how do I want to put it, structure that I was talking about with my dad, right? And then, like you said, when they don't achieve it, then it's just this fucking catastrophe, right? Like you're fucked. Like, some people, even when they do achieve it, like you're talking about, like, she has the house, she has the relationship, she has the money, like all this stuff. That sounds like shit. Like, that sounds like the same way that you're talking about it. I would have had the same thing where it's like 5 minutes in, you're fucking looking around, you're fucking skeeved out. Like, I would have had the same thought. Like, thank God this is not my life. Like, and again, and I promise you, the least judgmental way, I just wouldn't want it. Like you said, sayonara. It was great seeing you. I am flattered that you wanted to see me, and I'm glad that I got to see you, but I will never see you again.
And that's pretty much how it ended. It's pretty much what I said to her about a day or so later. But look,
how did she take it?
She was decent. She was decent.
Oh,
it's funny because I got a. It's a whole other conversation, but she was fine with it. But still kind of left that little door open that if I ever wanted to come back and see her again, and she was fine with it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think so. But it's got the thing is, but it's got less to do with her and it's got everything to do with me. Because if we're talking about success, it's like, well, here are the benchmarks of success that one should achieve. I haven't achieved them. Here's someone that I used to date. She has achieved them. Then I am not successful. That's the logic.
Right.
But then, you paint some context into all of your life and go, my friends are pretty okay. I'm not in a relationship, but I'm pretty healthy and happy. And talking about boundaries, I got real clear boundaries about who and what I will and won't accept. And you're outside those boundaries, my love. You know, health is pretty good at the moment. And like I said, working on projects that I care about, that I'm genuinely invested in and want to succeed, I hope for the right reasons. So, you know.
I do. Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. There's some successes. There you go.
Okay, you want to hear the list that Joyce gave us?
Okay, yeah, sure, go for it.
She's kind of being a fucking comedian lately. She just thinks she's the fucking funniest little AI on the planet.
Right. Well, they copy you, Broedy. So, you know.
Okay, then, hey, Joyce, you're hilarious. You are
Sassy.
the funniest.
Sassy.
What's the weirdest habit you swear by for your successes?
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. Any secret salsa dances before a big meeting? That's what she asked.
I
don't know why, but I imagined you salsa dancing.
I've got one that's pretty close.
Okay, then hit me with it, please.
Oh, this is so okay. It's not necessarily success, but it is a routine. It's a routine that I had as an actor that I carried over to my routine before every keynote. Right?
Oh, that's exactly what she's framing at. That's a success, right? Okay. Nailing a speech, that's a success.
Oh, okay, right.
Let's hear
it. Sit down, Misfits. It's about to get nerdy. All right, so I'm a huge fan of Stephen Sondheim, who wrote the musical for Sweeney Todd. Let me be clear: the musical, not the film, the musical. Right? Exceptional masterpiece of work. So much so that I have an off-Broadway recording of Sweeney Todd that I can sing it, chorus, Sweeney Todd, Mrs. Lovett, everyone in between from start to finish. And so what I would do thanks. What I would do as a vocal warm-up before every theater show was pop my headphones in and then just walk up and down the aisles of the seats and sing Sweeney Todd from start to finish as a vocal warm-up. Because I knew on theater, I'm just talking, right? But singing is like 5 efforts greater than talking. So if I can sing and if I can articulate the way that Stephen Sondheim has written me to articulate, then when I step on stage, it'll be like cruising on easy mode.
I actually love it.
All right, so that's my nerdy fucking thing. And so then when I kind of have been off the stage for a while, but then when I got my first keynote, it was a weird fucking panic attack because all of a sudden I'm not a character. I'm Christopher S. Sellers stepping out to talk about an innovation or some shit, and I'm like, fuck, and I'm panicking. And so I'd step into all right, doing Sweeney. Right. And so I'd step into doing Sweeney, and that would help to a certain level. And even then, I remember my very first one, which was at a conference in Melbourne, and I was still sort of panicking. And it wasn't until I stepped out in front of the white screen, and then my whole entire sense memory went, oh, an audience. Sweet. And everything just relaxed. And I'm directing people, asking them to sit down. Thanks for coming in. Have a seat. Da-da-da-da-da. And then microphone's on. Bang, let's go. And did it all like without a script. Just, off the riff with the slides, because that's what you do when you're a pro actor and not some shit keynote speaker. So that's a nerdy gimmick.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Mine's not as cool, but I
don't know if it's cool, but
I don't have a pencil anywhere near me, but when I'm getting ready to write my list for the day, if there's certain things that I know I want to achieve or I want to happen well, you can spin pencils.
Yes.
I spin a pencil 3 times and I tap it twice and then I write the goal. And hey, it works. It works.
All right.
It works.
All right. All right. Thanks, Joyce.
Here, there's 2 more, and I mean, seriously, she's just fucking funny. Have you ever had a fake it till you make it moment, and how did that go for you? Fake it till you make it moment, and how did that go?
I have.
I definitely have.
You go 100%. first. You go first.
I mean, okay, so when I was doing the tattoo stuff,
yep,
I had like 2,000 people, 2,000 followers or something on Instagram. And I kind of, before that, had like had a big profile that had gotten shut down. So like I may have exaggerated the number that was, trying to entice people
5 million followers.
Got
shut down.
No, I got shut down at 80K when really I was at 35. But you know what? It's funny because in that scenario, it actually did work out. You know, like even right now, that same profile is still growing, and I think we're at 25 or 24,000 followers or something like that. So we're getting to a really like milestone kind of realm with that profile. But that one stuck out to me. There was all sorts of shit I would say when that first came out, or when I was tattooing myself, that it was maybe necessarily a little embellished. You know what I mean?
It's all part of the socials game. I do.
That iceberg, baby. I gotta hide all that other shit.
Well, so I do. The fake it to the make. The first one that jumped to mind was my last full-time job was working at a tech startup. And prior to that, all my experience has kind of been like L&D contract, like whatever. And they wanted like a specific set of fucking skills or some shit. But I knew, it's like, look, I know that I can do the job that you're asking for. All I need to do is to frame my experience and my expertise in a language that you will understand.
LinkedIn, dude. LinkedIn, baby.
And I think this is even before I was.
I love all of you on LinkedIn, but that's what that place is.
And again, this is before AI and sort of everything else. So I had to like draft, handcraft from scratch, you know, a pseudo CV that represented everything that they asked for, with all the technical skills that they sort of asked for and all this sort of shit. Even to the point of calling in a few friends and a favors. I think even the bro at some point was like, hey, can you be references just in case?
Hey, I need you to tell this guy exactly this.
But by then my bro was down with it. He's like, cool, what's my name? Where do we work? Okay, great. You know, he was down for it.
That's the bro culture, though.
That's a bro. That's a bro code. And so did all of that and got in for a first round interview. And I'm like, oh, sweet, you know. And then I met the guy that would be my manager, and I was lucky because we hit it off. Like, obviously, I'm a little bit left of field and think differently to get things done. He was 1,000% down with that. He totally saw the value. So I really would have pushed for me to get in probably over more like dry technical candidates. And he did. And I remember the final sort of pass was they sent me a project of like, how would you like L&D this for our contractors? And I went, fuck, easy. Because I'd already had all this experience anyway. So I literally just grabbed a template that I had previously for something else, copy pasted it, changed over the things, and went bang, there you go, delivered within the day, and got the gig. So that was my first experience working full time in a tech startup.
P.S. Misfits, we're not saying fake it. That wasn't the moral of the story here. And if you took it that way, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
Okay.
If you can back it up, like if it's not just like I'm the best. Like,
but that's not faking it, bro. That's not faking it. You know what I mean?
It depends who you ask, because like I was definitely a fish in a tech startup world full of monkeys, and they could all climb trees, and I couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And there was like a lot of friction from the start, but yeah.
Clean analogy right there. That was good. Okay. Last one from Joyce, and this one just kicks me in the balls. Can you share a time when you celebrated a success way too early? Don't be afraid to get vulnerable here, boys.
Oh, thanks, Joyce.
Fuck.
I need a minute to think. I'm sure there's got to be something. I'm sure there's something.
We'll just clip in a time clock ticking.
Well, actually, if we're talking about fintechs and tech startups, well, I haven't. No, I've been very clear about not claiming anything, and we've come right up to the line of.
I was literally just about to say you cannot claim anything that you're working on now because you've been so transparent about not knowing when the end goal is.
Yeah.
Out of the question.
That's
out of the question.
It's
you can call a great idea without calling a success before it's happened. You know
funded for 100 million, motherfuckers.
Right,
unicorn.
Right. Yeah, like you didn't go buy a fucking house. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit! Wait, we didn't get any.
I should have. I should have bankrolled the penthouse, bankrolled the Tesla, just so I could one up an ex from 10 years ago.
Oh,
brilliant!
Oh God. Yeah, fucking lifelong debt.
Amazing.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But it looks hot on the gram, bro. I just need to rent it for a weekend, and I've got content for 6 months. Look, I'm sure I have, like, both personally and professionally. I'm sure, like, I thought I was ahead, and I actually wasn't. And claimed something, but nothing right now is slapping me in the face. It'll be one of those things like we'll stop recording the episode and then I'll go, oh shit, that's what fuck, that would have been amazing.
I mean, mine is just fitness related. I mean, and it slaps me right in the face. The first year that I got into this, I really set it's a silly goal, right? Like it wasn't like a highly unachievable thing, but I had a six pack when I was 16 to like 25, like it just always did. That was my goal, have a six pack again by the end of the year. Haven't got there yet. And we are 2.5 years in Misfits. Bruh. So I know. I fucking, well, at least I called it. I called it. I was like, hey, I'm going to have it in 6 months. I remember telling my buddy, I looked him right in the face. I was like, it's going to take me 6 months to get a fucking six pack, bro. This is not even hard.
Well, that's it. I'm like, I've been swimming for over a year, right? Mm-hmm. And still, like, I look at my core and go, hello, like, where are you? What the fuck is this?
That's it. I mean? It's a huge. Well, look, I'll say this. So when you're younger and your core is developing, it's so much tighter. It's all together, right? Like it's easier to develop those muscles.
Oh, wow.
I know, me too. I was like fucking thought I was the coolest guy on the planet. Now it's just easy. Now it's a little bit more difficult, not only is it that our muscles aren't worked the same that they were before.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
You got a little bit more of a fucking stretch there, partner. You got a little more of elasticity there.
Here's a spicy question for us, just kind of, and move towards the end of this episode.
Okay.
Broedy, is this podcast a success?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, no hesitation.
None. Yeah, Explain. No, I actually... Yeah, so I thought about it the other day because Misfits, a little frustrated with you. Might not be you.
Blame the fans.
Might not be you guys. It might actually be. It might be Chris's fault and YouTube. Chris called the episode. Chris called the episode. YouTube hated it. So I'm just saying it might be those two fuckers.
You can't be adults on YouTube. Yeah.
Fucking Christ. But yes, no, and the reason that I say that is because what we've accomplished in 60 episodes as opposed to what I've seen people put hundreds of episodes into and not even get to where we are is it's hard not to compare. It's hard not to compare.
It is hard not to compare in the ocean of social media.
It is, but it normally goes the other way. It normally goes the other way. You go, oh, fuck, dude, everybody's more successful than me. But when I compare relative to our size, experience, and timeline, shit, dude, we've already got a corporate sponsor. We've had over 100,000 fucking organic views in the last fucking, I think, 3 to 6 months. I don't want to call that and just be a complete asshole about lying, but not faking it till we make it. But no, I do. I do. I think it's a success. I think you had said something earlier about the way that you look at it and you just wish it was somewhere else. Sometimes I do feel that a lot. I won't deny that. I won't deny and lie. I definitely saw the potential of it happening sooner as well, being a more successful venture in terms of what people outside in would see. But no, I mean it's undoubtedly a success for me. So what about you? What about you, sir? You want to burn it to the ground?
If you ask me, do I think the podcast is a success? I would. My honest answer is no. My reflex, my more contextual answer is I don't have your experience and your scope.
Fair.
My reflex answer has always been no. Because we don't have, all the followers and all the subscribers.
Yeah, Chris can have like 5 people come up to him, tell him the podcast has basically changed their fucking lives and they love listening to it and it's just the greatest thing on the planet, but it sucks.
Where's number 6? Where's 10? Yeah. And that's what kind of pisses me off, because when I bump into LinkedIn people in real life, like, oh, I love the podcast, and they will reference specific moments. What? Yeah.
I just had the same fucking thing. I was on Facebook. I'm scrolling. I'm farting around. My name comes up on a post in like our little like Columbia County, like the community's Facebook page. It comes up, and someone. By the way, I have to run this by you, but let's just do it here. Someone is looking to do a podcast episode on all the fucking scandal shit that's been going on with the schools and the stuff like that in the area. And they think that they would be good for the podcast as well as for them to get information out. A friend of mine that, honest to God, I love this dude. Craig, you're the man. But I don't talk to him. We don't talk. We do not talk. And he tagged me in that. And I was like, I didn't even know this motherfucker knew I had a podcast. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And like, I post about it and shit, but it's easy to ignore people. It's too easy to ignore people. So I just didn't even know. And same thing. I've had plenty of people come up to me in messages or even in person and say, wow, dude, it's really cool that you're doing this with the podcast. I really fucking got nothing but respect for it. But I'll start throwing those in the trash too, Chris.
That's what makes the dynamic work, Broedy, is like, I'm salty and you're sweet.
Okay, fair.
It's no fun without any conflict. But yeah, it's funny. Like there's people who will view us and view the podcast and go, oh, that's a success. Even if we're just like, we've got an audience and we keep showing up each week.
Yes.
So
even that. I mean, yeah, that's
to some that's enough.
Yep. Yeah.
And of 100%. Course, this doesn't. And for most of you at home, you'll know, like, this doesn't exist in isolation. This exists as a project and as a business with several other projects and businesses that we're both working on
and tied to it and all of that stuff. Right. Yeah.
And then Brody's got a family. So it's
and Chris has got a life. I mean, seriously, once we hit stop on the record button, there's shit that happens.
That was actually
wow. Have you heard of that podcast that it was 2 AIs, right? It was just 2 AIs, and it was a funny experiment of them running and talking about podcast stuff and blah, blah, blah. They figured out that they were AI.
Oh, okay.
They were generated videos and everything. And then the creators made one, and about halfway through the evolution of the video, they're like, dude, I don't think I'm real. And it was very bizarre, but interestingly enough, Misfits, we are real. This is not AI generated, and we do exist outside of the podcast.
Nice place to end. There we go. It's a successful episode. Boom, boom, ching. All right, episode 67, success. Easy. Broedy, do you know what's coming up next?
Only because you did these in succession.
There
Failures next. And we
That's
talked
correct.
about it at the beginning of the episode and you corrected me. So I got kind of a freebie there.
That is correct. Episode 68, we're going to talk about failure, misfits, and the flip side of all of this. So if we need to define what success is and what it means for us, that equally goes with failure. You know, I mean, there's sort of two sides of the same coin, and like, how do you deal with that? We're going to dive deep and heavy into that one. So join us next week on episode 68 for the Professional Misfits. You can find us at promisfitspodcast.com. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find Broedy and everyone on all the TikToks and all the Instagrams. We're around there too. So follow, like, subscribe, drop us a link in the comments because we reply to everyone. It's cool. It's nice to have a little community there. And you can also find us on LinkedIn. In the meantime, I've been Chris.
I've been Broedy.
And you stay classy, Misfits. You're a success. And we'll see you on the next one.